cry.
That's okay.
Yeah. My name is Dr. Christy Morgan, and I am the Arizona Director for Candle Wishes in Phoenix, Arizona.
My name is Jenny Williams. I'm the founder and executive director of the Candle Wishes Foundation. I just really felt this burden come over me for these kids.
Children mean a lot. You never want a child to grow up feeling like they're not loved.
God put this on my heart to want to give these children happy birthdays.
This foundation just touched my heart, so I knew that this was something that I needed to do.
Okay, y'all, I'm not gonna ugly cry. This is terrible.
There was a time in our life where we struggled. There was a time in our life where we lived paycheck to paycheck. One time when we first moved down to Phoenix, a friend of ours, even at Christmas time, paid for my son to have a picture. Paid to have a picture of our son sitting on Santa's lap, and I couldn't afford it because we had just moved across the country. And so that's always stuck with me. If you would love to sponsor a child, if you would like to throw a birthday party, if you would like to just volunteer,
We need your help. Reach out to us so that we can connect and make our community a better place.
And hey, good morning. Welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I am Ken Walls, and I'm your host, and I'm over the moon excited about who I have on today. Let me say first, let me plug the Candle Wishes Foundation. Make sure that y'all go to, after the show, go look up the Candle Wishes Foundation with in Arizona and follow that, because it's an amazing organization that helps underprivileged children have birthday parties. It's incredible, ran by my friend Dr. Christy Morgan. So without any more about all that, I got to tell you that I've been in sales for the better part of 30 years ish, I'd say. And I got my comeuppance from a man named Mr. Zig Ziglar. That's where I started learning about how to be a professional salesperson. And as I dug a little deeper into his messages, I started learning how to be a better person. And that's what his life was about and his ministry was about. And today I have the unbelievable, I mean absolutely unbelievable blessing and opportunity to introduce all of you to my good friend, excuse me, the daughter of Zig Ziglar, Miss Julie Ziglar Norman. Julie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ken. I'm excited to be here, ready for a good time.
You're always ready for a good time. That's what I love about you. So I after an introduction like that, you got a lot to live up to now. I'm kidding you, but you're an amazing lady, and we've recently become friends in the last month or so, and I'm just like, I'm blown away by your wisdom, by your joy, your happiness, your energy. Everything about you is amazing. And I want to share with the rest of the world your story. I know you just flew in last night. You were traveling about the country for the last week or something like that, right? Doing speaking engagements. So tell everybody, first where you were born and raised.
All righty. I was born and raised in Columbia, South Carolina. Daddy had gone to the University of South Carolina. The Navy sent him there because he was going to be a pilot, and they like to educate him first. So when he quit, the war was over, but they continued to let him go to school. And so when he married my mom, they moved to Columbia, South Carolina, or she joined him there while he continued in college. Okay. And while they were there, they were struggling, and that's when Dad saw the ad for they needed a salesman who would make oh, it was a whole bunch of money compared to what he was making selling sandwiches at the dorm. So that kind of was the touchstone place. And Mom and Dad moved back and forth to Columbia, and I was born there. My brother Tom was born there. It was home base, but I spent more years in Columbia than any other place till we moved to Dallas.
Okay, and so would you mind? Could you turn your volume on your speakers down a little bit? I'm getting a lot of feedback. I think that's what it is. Perfect.
And if you still get it, I can go to my microphone and headset.
I think we're good as long as.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Is that better?
Yep, it is. Thank you. So you spent your time in Columbia, South Carolina, and so
yes.
Is that where you went to school in high school or?
Oh no, we moved to Dallas when I was 13, and I was going into 8th grade. But I had been I started school in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And halfway through the first year, Daddy moved us to West Columbia. And so I didn't quite make it out of first grade. I had to go to summer school because couldn't read. And then the next year they went ahead and put me in private school so I could have extra help.
Wow.
Yeah, in Columbia. We moved to Columbia that summer.
Okay.
So, and I was there till I was 13. So grades 2 through 7, I was there.
And then you ended up in Dallas. I'm still getting a lot of feedback all of a sudden. That's so strange.
Let me see if we can. Let's do this. Let me see about plugging you in this way.
Okay. What are you plugging in?
I'm just going to plug in this other microphone.
I got you. Okay.
And let's see how that goes.
This is our radio setup.
Oh, there. Wow, that's unbelievable.
Is that way better?
Oh my gosh. Sounds better than mine.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Should have started with that.
That's awesome. Wow.
Thanks.
Wow, that's night and day different. So, okay, so you ended up in Dallas at 13 years old, and so what was that like? So and by the way, at this point, what was your dad's career? Had he started the sales training, authoring, motivational stuff at that point, or was he still in sales?
Oh, he had been speaking every chance he got, and he was being paid to speak some. He was training. He got invited to Dallas to work for a company that wanted him to do their sales training for 2 days.
I got it.
And 2 days a week, just Monday, Tuesday. And they said, Zig, you can do whatever you want the rest of the week. You can go build your speaking career. So it was a perfect opportunity because we had, I believe we had health insurance, and he had a salary, and he had that freedom to go speak. And it was during that time that he met Mary Kay Ash. He ended up in a few years writing his book. Right. So he was really able to grow it. Now that company, they only lasted about 3 years. They had one of those products that you add to your gas tank to make your fuel go further.
Yeah.
And it was called API Automotive Performance Incorporated. Okay. It was a real blessing to Dad. Met a lot of wonderful people there. But it was a hard move for the kids because I turned 13 the day we left. The day we left. And I had been on student council at my school that I was going to. I had to run for that office and campaign. And so, I was really involved in school, and I knew a lot of people well. So it was a tough move for me, for my sister Cindy. In South Carolina, you at that time could get your driver's license when you're 14, and you could drive from dawn to dusk. And when we moved here, Cindy had already been driving over a year, almost 2 years actually. But because she hadn't had the state of Texas required driver's ed, they took her license And she had to go through that class and then wait to turn 16 before she could drive again. So it was an insult to her integrity. She was not happy about that. But
poor Cindy. She's still walking around with that resentment, isn't she?
No, I think she got over it. But
I know.
It was hard. It was a hard adjustment for us. It's the only thing Dad said, that if he had known the price we would pay for that choice, he would not have done it.
Wow.
He would not have moved us at those ages. The only thing I've ever heard him say he wished he hadn't done, other than one other thing we'll probably get into later.
So, and Cindy is on the stream, by the way, watching. And for anybody who's already shared this out, thank you so much. Please continue to share this, because you're going to be blown away by this woman's story, I promise you. So don't be selfish. Share it out. Sorry, I'm just kidding. So here you are, 13, and it sounds like Cindy's a year older than you then?
She's a couple of years older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She was 2 years ahead.
What's that?
She was 2 years ahead of me in school.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So how many kids were there?
There were 4 of us. My oldest sister, Susie, she was 6 years older than me, and we lost her to pulmonary fibrosis in 1995. She had just turned 46 years old.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
And
it was tough.
And then you have Tom.
Yeah, and Tom is under me by 9.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tom's the baby?
He's the baby boy.
Okay.
And Mama always said she knew he was a gift from God because she didn't ask for him. Surprise!
That's so funny. That's funny. So y'all were, like all 4 kids, you were in Texas now, in Dallas, Texas.
Yes. Yes. My older sister was there too.
So what was it like for you once you got to Texas? What did life turn into?
Oh, it fell apart. Our horses, we've been horse kids coming up.
Yeah.
Our horses did not make the trip immediately. And when we did find somebody to haul them, that's when I was told that my horse was not coming because he was too old to make the trip. And he was over 30. But I was 13, and when I told him goodbye, I told him I would see him soon, and I love, all that. So it was devastating to me. And though they bought me another horse, that's been a painful. It was very painful, because I'm sure had I been told he was too old to safely make the trip, I would have accepted it, but I also would have gotten to say goodbye. So that was really hard on my 13-year-old heart.
Yeah.
And then I didn't fit in at school. South Carolina was real laid back and slow compared to what was going on in Dallas. Whole different world, different clothes. I had a really strong South Carolina accent, and I was teased about it, and I ended up being bullied, and rumors started, and it just got me. I was shunned, pretty much, is what I'd say. So it was hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here you are, and this, just to give the audience some perspective, you are being raised by the godfather of motivation and sales training. You're being raised by this unbelievable man, but yet at school you're going through stuff like that. In your 13, 14-year-old mind and heart, you're going through all this pain and turmoil and everything else.
It was dark. It was dark for Cindy too. It was just so hard to make that transition and to not have the friends we'd have and to be shunned. Cindy made some good girlfriends over time, and I just didn't.
Wow.
So it was just a tough transition.
So you ended up did you graduate high school down there in Dallas?
I did. I arranged my schedule so that I could graduate ASAP because I was so miserable in school because of the rumors that were started about me. Wow. And because of those rumors that were started about me, it was a battle, every time I had a date. And eventually I got involved with the wrong group because they were the only ones willing to be a part of my life.
Right.
And I ended up earning the reputation I'd been given. So there I was, humiliated, embarrassed, ashamed, had a father who I never wanted to embarrass, whose integrity, I tried to protect. At that point, he wasn't as popular or as well known as he became.
Right.
When I was he really didn't get a big kickoff till probably 18 or so. I was 18. I was already out of high school. But yeah, I graduated from high school a year early and was really glad I did. I went to night school a couple of nights a week to get my last hour of credit, and I worked full time in a ladies' boutique. And then I did graduate with my class, and I didn't want to, but Mom and Dad wanted me to. And sure enough, I was harassed. I was the last one. I was the last one to graduate. Wow. And I was threatened if I didn't throw my cap, and what are you doing here? We haven't seen you all year. And, it's just tough.
Wow.
Yeah, there were a few people who were really kind to me, but it was ones who were outspoken were really outspoken. Let's just say I've never been to a high school reunion yet. And it's just because I think there are just not too many good memories.
Right.
That go back to school for me, and that's okay. I don't have any resentments.
Right.
The girl who started the rumor about me, I ran into her in the halls about my junior year, and I just said, it's really a shame. I believe if you'd ever gotten to know me, you would have liked me.
Wow.
You would have liked me.
Wow.
And
that's heartbreaking.
She'd probably forgotten what she did at that point because it was like 4 years after the fact. But yeah, so I was totally changed by one rumor.
Wow, that's unreal.
Yeah.
That's wow. We definitely, we teach our daughters to. I mean, that's hard. I mean, we try to teach them that there are just people in this world that's about them. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about them. And so did you end up going to college then?
I did.
Okay.
Dad made me take off of work the summer between what should have been my senior year and when I was going to start college, because I'd always worked since I was 14.
Yeah.
And it was fun. That was really fun. Got up early, rode my horse before it got hot, came home, played tennis before it got too hot, and then I spent my afternoon in the pool. And first week, I went out every night, and after that, Dad said it wasn't so I could go out every night. So I didn't get to go out every night, but I got to have fun every day. And I went to a junior college, and I was a PE major at that point, studying, kinesiology.
Oh, nice.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love kinesiology myself.
Then I met my first husband at a horse show because I was horse showing a great deal. And he asked me if I would ride some of his horses because he was a cowboy and I rode Hunter Jumper and was very flattered. And he looked like the Marlboro Man. Yeah. Yeah, he was smooth.
Okay. Wow. That does not sound like it ended well for some reason. No.
Well, he was a horse trader, and let's just say I was horse traded, and it was not a good trade. Not a good trade.
Wow.
And he had a tendency to exaggerate and understate things, and he understated his age by several years, and I didn't find out till we got our marriage license that he was 18 years older than me.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
And I was young enough at 18 to think that I thought I loved him when I thought he was 30. So what's the difference in, 6 more years?
Right.
So, yeah. And before I even married him, I told my sister Cindy that I knew it wouldn't work, but I didn't know how not to marry him.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'd been threatened a lot, and
wow.
It was just not a good situation at all. But I married him because I honestly didn't know how not to.
Wow. So, so that doesn't sound like it went very well. So, I mean, was there any good in it? Did you learn anything?
Oh, yeah,
from the whole thing?
there was great. You know, I mean, I don't want to say I wasn't crazy in love with him to start with, because I really, really was.
Yeah.
But even though I was, and I think I was even somewhat addicted to him, or the hold he had on me, or I didn't understand it. I was too young.
Yeah.
But what I did know was that I did everything I could to try and make it work, and I got a beautiful daughter. About 2 years, little over 2 years in, I had my daughter, Amanda. She goes by Amy now, and she's been the greatest kid ever, and she's just a wonderful. She probably saved my life, actually, because I was in a pretty good downward spiral when we divorced, and she gave me a reason to keep on keeping on. She really did.
Wow. And so all the while now, as you're going, like, how old were you when you had her?
I was just about 8 days from being, or 10 days from being 21.
Okay.
Like that.
So
yeah.
So as like, and you said your dad's career and becoming famous and well known kind of was hitting his stride when you were about 18 or so, right?
Yes.
So here you are a few years later. He's starting to really hit his stride, right?
Yes.
Or as he would have said, now he's really starting to hit his stride. I can't do it like you. But he would. I love the way he dressed, and you do that once in a while too. But so he was really starting to get into it, and you're in this marriage that you're not absolutely thrilled with.
Yeah.
But you have a baby.
Little girl. Mm-hmm.
You have a little girl.
Yep.
And how things starting to move now? What's happening like over the next few years?
Well, my husband, my dad had always told us girls that if our husband ever laid a hand on us, he expected us to come home. He did not want us to live in that environment, and he knew that if a man did it once, the chances of him doing it again were better than not.
Yeah. And
he had 2 sisters who had married alcoholics who were violent, so he had seen the results of that kind of relationship.
Wow.
Excuse me. He'd also said, or if you're married to a man who becomes a habitual adulterer, which told me Dad understood that somebody could make a mistake once, maybe even twice, but to do it over and over and over with no stopping. He said he didn't expect us to live in that environment either, and it wouldn't be good. So let's just say I ended up back home on both counts. Wow. And Cindy was the one who came to get me, because after he beat me up that day, he pulled the phone wires out of the wall, and he took my car away. And we live very much in the country, too far for somebody to walk with a 5-week-old baby. Wow. And so I wrote a letter to my sisters, and I said, don't tell Daddy, but you need to figure out a way to come get me, because this happened. And my sister Cindy did.
Wow.
And she pretty much kidnapped me. It was great.
Thank God for Cindy.
Yay, Cindy. She was so brave. She was so brave, because he really could be violent.
Wow.
So,
and I've had the honor to meet Cindy as well, and she's a tiny little thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, she is.
I can't even imagine what.
But a lion lives right inside of her, and she will protect those she loves.
I love it. Go, Cindy, go. Wow. So
yeah, I don't want to linger on that too much. I mean, it was 3 years of my life. I learned a lot about what it is to be emotionally and then physically abused.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to talk to women who've been through it and are still getting past it. I was single 7 years because I was so afraid of, that making choices like that again.
Yeah.
I just was really frightened of marriage, but I ended up with a good one. But Daddy's career really did escalate, and I ended up as a divorced single mama selling tickets to the success rallies and being involved in that way years ago, making presentations to companies so I could sell group tickets and that sort of thing.
For your dad's seminars.
Yeah, for the success. I mean, I wasn't working for Dad. I was working for the people who sold the seminars at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then only when they were doing the Dallas market. I didn't travel with them because I had a little girl.
Yeah. Right. Wow. So you got into selling.
Yes.
Wow.
Daddy started me in sales when I was about 9, Amway, door to door. He gave me the product catalog and said to go knock on the doors and see if anybody wanted to order. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Did you sell anything?
Some stuff. I did.
Good.
I think he really enjoyed, trying to get us into his field. And for years when he would go and speak, he would speak to all these different wonderful networking companies, and he would come back and he would sign one of us up to get the products because he couldn't join anything because he spoke for everybody.
Right.
And my sister Cindy was enlisted to get certain products, and I was enlisted to get certain products. And then he signed me up a couple of them because he was so sure I could do it. He signed me up with Mary Kay. And I got this huge kit of everything. Yeah. And I never was really into makeup. I wore it, but it wasn't like, I wasn't fascinated like some gals are.
Yeah.
And I never got started with Mary Kay because it just wasn't my thing. And then he signed me up for Mary Crowley, home interiors, interior decorating. And if I am anything, it is definitely not a decorator. So I had a couple of shows with that. But Ken, here's the funniest one. He spoke for Penny Rich Bras, custom fitted bras, and he signed me up for that and sent me to a conference where they trained me how to fit them and how to sell them. And I was
Come on, are you kidding me?
18 years old.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
Wow.
But here's the good thing on that. I got comfortable helping women under all circumstances. And when I worked ladies retail that year between what should have been my senior year, I ended up having lots of clients who had mastectomies. And because I was comfortable helping, they were comfortable. And it ended up being a real gift that I had learned, had been forced to be that intimately involved with helping people. And it was a blessing.
To know that. I got
it.
There's a friend of mine, and she's a client of mine also. You're a client of mine. But this lady, her name is Sherry Matthews. I have to connect you all. She lives over in Austin, and she developed a clothing line for women. She's a breast cancer survivor, and she developed a clothing line for women who are going through mastectomy surgery. And she's amazing. Y'all would love each other. So, so here you're okay. So you're in that 7-year span between when you went back to your dad's house, your mom and dad's house, to when you met the good husband. We'll call him the good husband. You were selling. You were like. It sounds like you started really trying to find your stride, so to speak.
I did. The first few years, I did everything I could in my power, Ken, to work hours that would make me available to my daughter, because she was literally 3 months old when I left her dad.
Right.
And so I wanted to be with her as much as possible. In those first few years, I waited tables at an upscale steakhouse, Old San Francisco Steakhouse in Dallas.
Okay.
And I only had to work at night. Started at 5 and was generally done by 9 on Monday through, well, actually Sunday through Thursday if I worked those days.
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday nights I didn't get through till about midnight. But I made far better money with no college education doing that than I could have at anything else at that age.
Right.
So it was perfect because Amy was only awake a few hours after I dropped her off, and the babysitter I had, she was right near the restaurant, and she had one of those locks or doors that had the buttons, and you could push in the code and let yourself in. Wow. So I would, when I was finished, go get her out of the crib and put her in the car and have her car seat laid back, and she never woke up. She would wake up every morning in her bed and never know that I had moved her. But wow. So I was only really not seeing her a few hours a day, and that was my goal. That was my goal.
Wow.
And then eventually I ended up being a leasing agent at an apartment complex. Then they asked if I'd be assistant manager, and ultimately I became manager, and I quit the restaurant job. And then I got involved in some other things, and then I made a devastating choice in my life, and that choice, I lost the business I'd built. I'd never been depressed in my life. And because I've been raised by such a positive person in an environment where your attitude was your choice, I knew that. And right. I kept wondering, well, why can't I just make myself happy and choose to be happy? But I had chosen to have an abortion, and I didn't tell anybody. Didn't tell anybody. At that time, Daddy was teaching the sanctuary class at First Baptist in Dallas, the biggest Baptist church in the world, under Dr. W.A. Criswell.
Wow.
It's not the biggest now, but it was then. And, I adored Daddy, and I didn't want to bring shame on him, and his reputation was great, and I just didn't want people to know. And that had a lot to do. Plus, I was already struggling as a single mom to make the ends meet. My ex-husband didn't pay child support with any, just a few times. And so I couldn't imagine how I would support another child. And I barely knew the guy. And that had been a long-standing problem since I'd gotten involved in the wrong crowd in junior high. I had no self-worth, really.
Right.
None.
Right.
And it was, that's when I started keeping vodka under my kitchen sink. And I had no idea that I was self-medicating because abortion was legal. And I had grown up going to the county hospital, getting birth control.
Yeah.
Part of, and I skipped this part of me getting involved with that group was a young man told me they would let me be their friend, but I would have to go through an initiation. And I was to meet him in a field, and that's where I lost my virginity, just shy of 14.
Oh, my God.
I didn't even know what virginity was, Ken.
Wow.
But, So that just started me off in a really, really bad place. Bad place. No was something I practiced saying, and I somehow always felt obligated, people pleaser, just at any rate. So that happened, and I totally denied. I was in total denial that I had a problem with it. Most people really don't think about the babies. They don't. You just go and you do what you think you have to do. And then about 18 months later, I got pregnant again. And did the same thing, only a lot faster. And It was just, everything was compounded at that point. And then I met my husband, and I told him that I'd made those choices, and he didn't have a problem with it. We got married, and I found out later, a big part of the attraction was I could keep up with him drinking, and he could afford to buy me as many drinks as I wanted.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And about 2.5 years in, I'd had enough because he was passing out too early, and I was raising all of our kids, his 3 and my 1. And I'd had it. I ended up, I'll do the short route. I ended up going to a 12-step program for friends and family of alcoholics. And they told me I needed to turn him over to the care of God. There was nothing I could do about him. I had already been told that normal women don't marry drunks, and so I was not. I needed help. And when I got there, they told me the same thing. You need to quit worrying about your husband and start worrying about you, and you need to learn how to detach with love, and all this, all new language for me.
Right.
But I went home with hope, and he said, so what'd you do? Talk about all your drunk husbands? And I said, no, they told me there's nothing I can do. You're the only one who can change that. You're the only one who can choose to get sober. And they said not to worry about you, just to turn you over to the care of God, and that I needed to work on me because I'm really messed up. And they made me promise not to divorce you because they said I would just go and marry the same kind of guy again.
Right.
So, yeah, and he was just stunned, very, very stunned. And the next morning, I worked at the racetrack then, and I had gone to work, and he went to work, but his offices happened to be above the local 12-step program there in town, and he went downstairs
Oh my God.
for a noon meeting. And the guy who was speaking at the open speaker meeting that day turned out to be a man he knew, and he was telling a story that my husband had been a part of.
Oh my
because
gosh.
the man was a salesman with his father at Dickey's, and they had gone deer hunting many seasons together. And afterwards, my husband went up to the front and said, do you remember me? And he said, Jim Norman. And he said, is this your group? He said, I don't know. And the guy said, is this your first time? He said, yeah. So they had a talk, and it was that man's first time to ever tell his story. It was 1-year anniversary, and his sponsor had made him go and speak that day.
Wow.
So he took him outside and gave him his big book, and my husband never drank again. I lost him 3.5 years ago to lung cancer, and he died sober.
Wow.
And it was 29 years, and he told me in the last few weeks before he died, he said, the only thing that I really hate is that I'm not going to get that 30-year chip, and that was a really cool one.
Oh, jeez.
Had the 3 X's, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
So, yes,
Wow.
and about a month after that, I figured out I was visiting the wrong group of people, and I switched over and joined a 12-step program for alcoholics, and
Wow.
and I got sober. So I've been sober since May 28th of 1986.
Wow.
And that's, yeah. And then the journey with God really began, and the spiritual healing, emotional healing, and I got a lot of help, a lot of counseling, and found out I didn't even know what sadness was. I never knew. The counselor said, you're just sad. I'm like, what is sad?
Wow.
You know, I had never really focused on sad because I knew I could choose to have a different feeling, but I didn't understand how depression worked, or that you could get so low and stay so low so long that your body even quit making serotonin or any of the other feel-good hormones. And
Wow.
it was quite a journey back to real happy, healthy wholeness.
Wow.
But it's good. It's all good. Yeah.
It's all good now, isn't it?
Yeah,
So you know, like, wow. Holy crap, I don't even know what to say about most of that. I mean, you know, and everybody on here, most of y'all know that I'm a recovered alcoholic myself, and actually have my coin right there. I have 16 years sober, and by the grace of God, and I went to that same program for many years. So when you know, I remember hearing I remember here, and just forgive me in advance. I'm not going to say it a curse word, but I will say I remember sitting because I went to a treatment facility and then got sober for 6 months and thought I had it all figured out, and went back out for a while and just building up my story a little more, and so. And then I ended up getting sober at the age of 34. But I remember sitting in that treatment center and somebody saying, "Look," because everybody's sitting around there complaining about how terrible life is and everything, right? And I'm sitting there probably listening to Zig Ziglar tapes while they're all complaining. But I'm sitting there and this guy says, "Look, the word sober, SOBER, is an acronym and it stands for son of a everything's real." Like, right? Because all of a sudden you take away all that anesthesia and you got to deal with feelings for the first time ever. And it sucks. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Very
Ken, and I want to tell you that even though, it took me about a year to get to where I was comfortable not having a drink when I felt fear and anxiety, and I just had to keep running to my group for for support, so I wouldn't pick that drink up. But after a year, that compulsion went away for me. My husband, thankfully, was delivered immediately, and I still was struggling, and I didn't know why for a lot of years, not with the alcohol, but just kind of generally with life. And ultimately, I found out that I had, even though I understood spiritually I was forgiven for the abortions, I had never forgiven myself because I just believed it was unforgivable because it was permanent. There's no going back on that.
Right.
And it wasn't until I went through a post-abortion recovery program at Pregnancy Resource Center that helped walk me through that journey and how somebody could come to the place where they'd make that choice, that I got total healing from that. And I want to say it here because there's so many women, like 1 in 3, and men, 1 in 3, who've experienced it or been a part of it, and they don't know that there are classes you can go to that are totally confidential to get the help that you need to heal from that choice and to be set free. So God has put me in a place to go speak at pregnancy resource centers. A lot of people who volunteer at those have had abortions that are still secrets. And, we're as sick as our secrets. We truly are. And once you don't have any, you are set free to not just be you, but to be available to help others who've made the same choices you've made. Yeah. And it's a blessing to be there for those people who are still suffering. It's a joy.
That's so incredible. I love that. I love that saying, by the way. We're only as sick as our secrets. I love that. Changed my life because I remember, look, I had been through, I was court ordered to go to AA at 12 years old. So, I was in and out for many, many, many years, and finally at 34 it took. But so I had done the 3-step waltz, step 1, 2, and 3, and then go back out before I got to 4. Well, somebody knew I needed to get to a 4th step, which is where you come clean, right? Yeah. And I'm telling you, God knew what He was doing. He put the right person in my life because I got it all out, and that's what I truly believe that's. And it doesn't have to be just somebody that's an alcoholic. It can be somebody that's just living and can't figure it out and doesn't know why everything keeps going wrong. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's right.
It could be somebody that had an abortion. It could be somebody that's a drug addict, or somebody that's an alcoholic, or somebody that's, just stuck and everything keeps
sexually abused.
Right, right, right. But once you start going through the process of admitting what happened, admitting what you did, what happened to you, and then seeking forgiveness, life becomes magical. It really does. You become free from all of that.
That's right. That's right.
So,
well, go ahead.
I wanted to, so did you ever graduate from college? We never.
No,
okay.
I went back when I was 30.
Okay.
I had been managing a thoroughbred racehorse stable, and that year I had three pretty exciting little horse accidents. Nothing big, broken finger, sprained ankle, but horses going down with me and that sort of thing. And I had no health insurance at the time. Jim and I were married. We had lost everything we had. After we got sober, the savings and loan debacle came, the oil industry fell apart. We were in property management, thousands of units of apartments we managed, and the oil folks took the management back because they didn't want to pay, the management fees. And so we were in a pickle. And I was at the track for 3 years because I loved horses, couldn't afford one of my own. And then those accidents happened, and I thought, this is silly.
Yeah.
If I get really hurt, it's going to be really bad. And I went back to college.
Okay.
And I did, I was doing English was an interest of mine, but I was really interested in the medical field. And I went for, probably 3 or 4 semesters. And then I had won the Guidepost Writers Workshop. Guidepost is that little non-denominational spiritual magazine that Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and his wife put together over 50 years ago.
Right.
And biannually, they have a retreat for a week for 15 people who win the contest to go and learn how to write their style. And when I came back from that, Dad asked me how it went. And one of the little asides that I had learned there was that I had a natural aptitude for editing. I could always tell what was wrong with the story. And Dad said, well, that's interesting. I happen to need an editor. And that's when I became his editor.
Wow.
And I was his editor for 20 years. Yeah.
20 years. Wow.
And I still edit his books. If we do anything to those, I edit those.
Wow.
Because that's Dad's. We want to be sure it's what he would say and how he would do it. So I still do his books when we re-up them or, bring them up to date, that sort of thing. Yeah.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. And you traveled with him too, right?
Yes, after he fell and had his head injury, which resulted in short-term memory loss, I was on the road interviewing him at the big Get Motivated, with Colin Powell and Rudy Giuliani and all those people from city to city. We did that 4 years.
Wow.
And by the time he quit doing that, I was being invited to speak because I'd been out so many times with him. People were familiar with me. And I had stepped in and done talks he couldn't do anymore, like for hospice and ministry type things.
Yeah.
And had gotten real comfortable with it. But so I'm an accidental speaker too. I never thought about being one or even wanting to be one. But Ken, I had a preacher who years ago explained to me that I didn't have to worry about my purpose. I didn't have to go take all kinds of tests to figure it out. All I had to do was be willing, available, and obedient to do that thing that he put in front of me. And he said, Julie, don't you think your God is big enough to put right in front of you the very thing that he would have you do?
Wow.
And I agreed with him that he was. And so today, I'm very much aware of everything that comes in front of me. And because of it, I've had opportunities that I would have totally dismissed had I not believed that he's big enough to put it in front of me.
Wow.
And it's usually not something I would even think I would be good at, Ken, because I think he likes for us to do things that it's pretty obvious we have to get our strength and power from him, and he gets the credit.
Wow. I love that. Absolutely love it. Wow.
I believe it with all my heart.
So I mean, good Lord. So, and I've already expressed this to you, but I know that your mother recently passed away just a couple months ago. And you know, I'm very, very sorry, as you know, for your loss. And you, I mean, I just got to tell people, like, if they don't already know, like, just listening to you, like, your heart is so good. You have such a good heart, but like, you were emailing me on the day you were putting your mom in hospice care. Like, you sent me an email that day, and I was blown away. Like, what? Like, this lady just sent me an email while she's going through all this stuff, and it's just incredible. Like, you're an amazing woman. And so now I know you're still involved in the Ziglar companies.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What's your involvement there? What's your role there?
Well, I am legally the vice president of Ziglar Inc.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was actually working with Dad, and before I went out on my own, I was the VP of business development, because I like working with people and bringing in, you know, whenever we could make something come together. I really love doing that, helping people and connecting with people who we can have a synergy with. But since I went out on my own, I kind of focused on women's ministry, and then the Lord's redirecting my business back to entrepreneurialism. I've been doing a lot of speaking to business women's groups and entrepreneurial groups, male and female. So that's a whole. Are you getting a feedback all of a sudden?
No, I'm not. Are you?
Okay. Just for a second I did.
Yeah, that could be. That's the internet does that once in a while. It's goofy like that. I think it's Big Brother listening in.
Could be. But yeah, so with the company, I train there for our Ziglar Legacy Certified Trainers classes. And we have those about 4 times a year. And people come in and we teach them how to train 3 different areas of Dad's training. So one's on goal setting, one's on building relationships, and the other one is on self-improvement, becoming your best you. So that these people a lot of people teach it within their own companies they own. They teach their staff all of those principles. We have people who use it as an extension of their ministries. We have folks who just wanted it for self-improvement, but a lot of people were already training their own stuff and even other people's, and added Dad's materials because of what he meant to them and their training. And we are doing everything we can to keep Dad's teachings out there. We do that, and then I also train with Tom and Jason Friend. We do the Ziglar Speakers Institute, where we teach people how to put together the kind of talks that Dad delivered. And if you ever heard him, you understand that everything flows, and it might have a lot of little tentacles that come out, but it all comes back together to that one big thing. So we teach people how to put their talks together. Yeah. Wow. Then we have effective business presentations where we teach people how to present at the front of the room. And that's more just the mechanics of it. But our Speakers Institute is how to make every talk full of powerful content, meaningful, life-changing.
That's incredible. And what? I'm sorry.
And interesting.
Yeah.
No sleeping.
Well, you got to be interesting. Like, if you're not interesting, you're not going to be a very long-term speaker unless you just have crazy money to put into it. So, excuse me. So you're very involved in all of that. I know, like I said, I know you just came off the road literally last night, and you called me on my cell phone on your way home from the airport, but you're just you're just out there and you're making it happen, and you and I are doing some stuff together. Number one, I'm building your website, your new website for you. But number two, we have something else cooking, and we're going to get into that here very, very soon. You and I are going to come back on, and we're we're going to talk about what we got going. Because I'm excited about it, and I know that Tom and Cindy are both involved as well. So, and I'm I'm a part of Team Ziglar in this whole deal, and I am unbelievably blown away by it. Number one, and number two, incredibly grateful. So. I mean, and we are going to do we're going to do a little webinar or something talking about that. Is that cool?
Yeah.
You down with that?
That's cool. I'm down with that, and okay. I love our synergy, and I'm excited for what we're going to bring to everybody. And, you know, insane. You say you're honored, Ken. You are such a warm, kind and loving person. It's so easy. I knew you immediately.
I know. We talked forever,
I knew your heart immediately, yeah. And it was just a great connection. And when that happens, I love it because I like to be involved with the people I enjoy being around.
Yeah. I'm with you 1,000%. I'll never forget standing. I called my wife when I left your office that day, and you and I stood in the parking lot and talked for another 30 minutes, and I don't even know. At least it went by. Mm-hmm. And I called my wife and I said, I can't believe I just got hugged by Julie Ziglar probably 10 times, I'll bet. Like, and I went to shake your hand when I first met you, and you said, "Oh, get in here, I'm a hugger."
Yeah, I think my mama taught me that. Daddy was a big hugger too. Our whole family hugs. We just can't help it. It's how it is.
I absolutely love it.
I want to say, the people that you get to know in this world are just so exciting to me. And Pam Goodwin is the one who introduced us.
Pam is amazing.
And yeah, we haven't mentioned, but I got involved in real estate because I always loved real estate. Daddy painted a vision for us when we were children. We'd go look at land, and he would have us stand there, and he'd say, "Now, this is where we're going to build the house, and you girls can put your stable right over there." And, I mean, he painted pictures of what things could be for us, and I have never looked at a piece of land that I didn't see what it was going to be or could be, the potential of that land. And Daddy also taught us to see the potential of people in the same way. But Pam Goodwin, I met her because of the real estate connection, or either actually I think it was another connection, but because she's involved in commercial real estate, I shared my love of real estate with her, and we've just been really good friends through the years. So I'm grateful to her for introducing me to you, Ken. I really am.
Me too. Amen. I agree. I love Pam. I love Pam. Look, I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I love Pam so much I let her take my picture on the Cowboys practice field.
That's love.
Anyways, she's amazing. You're absolutely amazing. I feel like we could sit here and talk all day long, but I don't want to do that. I know you're busy. But, how can, there's going to be some people that watch this that hopefully will reach out to you and hopefully not overwhelm you, but reach out to you. And because you can help a lot of people, and you offered, you said,
yeah, I did.
If you're going through it, hit me up. So how can people follow you? How can they connect with you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Julie Ziglar Norman, and there are actually two different Julie Ziglar Norman pages. And one I think is personal, but I have a public page that has really inspirational, great, inspiring quotes that you can just check into every day. Also, Ziglar Women is a Facebook page of mine.
Yeah.
My email is julie@pprtx.com, and that is P as in Paul, R as in real estate, T as in Texas, X.com.
Love it.
Yep.
Wow.
And yes, and my website, I'm not going to send them to because we're just getting started on putting it back together. I think all you can do is click on one of my Get Motivated speeches, parts of it. So that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
For now,
it's
an embarrassment.
It's a mess. It got hacked. I mean, it's hacked. I found out what's going on, but like.
Oh, good.
But we're fixing that. But anyway, so Julie, what are and we got to wrap this up. We can't stay on all day. But what's your because like my wife said after first meeting with you, she hasn't met you in person, which is a totally different experience than this. But what she said, and she said, you're amazing. Your father, like everybody on planet Earth, just about has heard the name Zig Ziglar. I would imagine, especially if you're in sales of any kind. But so he was unbelievable. But you are amazing in your own right, is what my wife said, and I agree with her. So what is one of your favorite? If somebody, I want you to give one last bit of inspiration, because to the person that's still listening and they don't feel like they can get unstuck, this show's about helping people get unstuck. What would you say to the person that their lights are getting shut off tomorrow? Maybe they lost their car last week. They can't figure their business out. They can, everything seems to be going wrong. Yeah. What would you say to that person to help them get over that hump that they have right now?
Well, first, I think the dad's quote that is most encouraging at those times is failure is an event, not a person. It's something that happens and then that's over and you've got to move forward. I have had my car repoed out from under me within that first marriage, literally took me out of the car and left me on the side of the street.
Oh, Lord.
I have had the lights shut out. I've been evicted. All this was during that first marriage. I know what it is to dig in the couch and then go have your 39 cents and buy the biggest potato you can find and then find out it was a seed potato and it's inedible. To not be able to feed the dogs. I've been there. So I really do understand those places. And what I know is that things do change and things do get better. And you need to let people know that you need help. And I think that's the number one thing. We were made to be interdependent, but we feel ashamed when we can't make things come together, and asking for help is so hard, but it's so essential. We need that, it could be just $20 will make the difference in somebody getting through to the next right step.
Yep.
A lot of times it's asking for help, letting people know that you need it and not being ashamed. And if you keep ended up in that position because you have an addiction, there are some amazing doors that you need to darken, because there is hope, there is help, there is recovery, and it's there for the taking. But we have to take the first step towards that, make that decision to change our lives, because you can't keep doing the same thing and expect anything to change. But I will say this: I've survived it all, and what I know is, even though there have been days that I did get hungry, it never lasted long. And as long as you keep doing the next right thing, and that is probably asking for help, because our society is set up to help. People want to help.
Yeah. People
are glad to help when they know help is needed. So I would say ask for the help you need and make decisions to do things differently. Really, really focus on what it was that got you in that place in the first place, and determine how you're not going to do that again, and move forward.
Wow.
And if you're just flat depressed, go help somebody else.
That's it. Keep going.
I go all day.
I love that. I say that exact thing right there all the time. Like, the fastest way to get out, it's scientifically impossible for you to remain depressed when you are helping somebody else. There's this really famous quote that I've lived my life by for many, many, many years, and it's this. If you help enough other people get what they want out of life, do you want to finish that for me?
Well, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want.
That's it.
And you don't do it with the motive to get what you want.
That's right.
You do it because it's the right thing to do.
That's right. Yep. That's right. And that was your dad's quote, in case anybody didn't know that.
His favorite quote.
Yeah.
Favorite quote.
Oh.
And I will say this, you can get past your past, but you have to go through it to get beyond it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I love it.
You have to choose to make it your past and not keep it your present.
I love it, and we've got some really, really, really incredibly big things happening. You and me and Jill and Tom and Cindy and the whole lot of us, and so all of you watching, stay tuned because there's some really cool stuff happening here that's coming down the pike very, very soon. So, Julie, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely love you. I appreciate you coming on and taking your time. You're amazing.
Well, thank you. I think you are too.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, listen, thank you to everyone who shared this out. Thank you for being on here. All the hearts and the crying. We got some crying laugh faces. That's good. I like those. That means we got some people laughing. That's what I like.
Good.
So thank you all for being on here. I'm very grateful. I appreciate the support. Julie, thank you once again.
Thank you, Ken. Have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you all. All right. Bye-bye.